Salutations, fellow nerds. I'm Rick Y, and today is March 11th or 3/11, which means y'all better come original. I'm sure some of y'all got that. Anyway, the House is poised to vote on some of that craziness that we can always expect Republicans to do, and that's package up cow feces with patriotic wrapping paper so they can bend you over while you wave your little flag. There's currently a CR that's being considered, and I thought I would fill you in on the little gamesmanship that the House members are trying to play so you don't get wrapped up in the fallacious selling points later on. If they can't get this through today, we will have a government shutdown this Friday. So if you dig news, history, or humorous American hogwash, make sure to drop whatever symbol you feel best represents the new world within which we live. And let's get cracking. This week, CNN host with a name that sounds more like a Pokemon move than an actual nomenclature for a human being, Wolf Blitzer, had a guest on his show, and that guest was Republican Representative Tony Gonzalez from Texas. When asked if he would support this spending bill, the representative covered himself in red meat for his base and failed to highlight how this bill would actually directly impact his constituents. He stated, and I'm going to take some personal liberties here and paraphrase, "Well, as you know, I spent 20 years in the Navy and retired as a Master Chief, and we're going to pay our military members more, and we're going to secure the border and veterans. And this is fine. The issue is the straw man that will eventually come of it, and I can already see it in both House and my comments section. They're going to try and frame this as, "Oh, we're working for our veterans. Don't you care about the veterans? Don't you care about the service members out there busting their ass every day for Uncle Sam? Don't they deserve more money? Why would you want to vote against our servicemen and women and want to keep the military on food stamps? Why would you want to vote against our veterans?" And just like an aerolift stair chair, this shit drives me up the walls. First, this continuing resolution is just a stopgap measure to keep us from shutting down this Friday. It's also set for 6 months, which is one of the longest stopgap measures I can remember. They're not typically this long, and this will in turn stall budget negotiations well into the summer, which is completely ridiculous. Second, if this bill was only to raise wages for military members and veterans, given the staunch position that Democrats have to raise everybody's wages, I'm positive that it would pass along those lines, but that isn't the issue, is it? There's a little more to this little measure that Master Chief Tony Gonzalez is misrepresenting, and personally, I find it highly disrespectful because if a conservative leader is saying this, they're talking out of two sides of their mouths. Luckily, my absolute favorite congressperson right now, Jasmine Crockett, also of Texas, added her 2 cents. As she pointed out, these same people are trying to cut 80,000 personnel from the VA, as well as taking away the money Congress has already allocated for toxic burn pit patients. These are measures that are also in this bill, so they're fine with 18-year-olds going and throwing their lives in front of bullets, but they only use us as political pawns once we get out. The most resources that have ever been taken away from the VA and veteran groups have been Republican-led and sponsored. Yet, when we want to discuss giving kids food or health care, all of a sudden they're concerned about homeless veterans. But I'll be damned if you try to bring that up later, because then you'll be labeled a socialist for trying to use tax dollars to get people off of the street. That's the game, people. They're manipulating y'all by appealing to your emotions and thinking that you're an idiot. It is so clear how they disrespect their voters and the veterans of this country that I'm baffled that they've gotten this far. It's frankly disgraceful. So objectively, why would Democrats want to push back against this bill? It really shouldn't matter in the long run, because Johnson should work on getting enough of his own Republicans to vote on it, because as far as I know now, he doesn't have the votes. But Democrats are also more concerned with how they're trying to increase the power of the executive branch by expanding executive discrepancy, and it cuts $13 billion from non-defense discretionary spending. Let me give you a few examples of that. Social Security, education, Medicare, Head Start and early childhood programs, the National Science Foundation, the CDC, the NIH, rural health clinics, mental health and drug addiction centers, Section 8 housing, public housing, highway and public transit, the Federal Aviation Administration, railway and public transit, environmental protections, the DEA, FEMA, grants for police departments, VA education, VA healthcare, VA housing, USAID, global health programs, WIC, free school lunch programs, and food safety, such as the FDA and USDA. Luckily, the only Americans this would impact are 99% of us not currently building our own rockets and yachts inside bigger yachts. Yet, while Johnson and the rest of Republicans are basically demanding that Democrats play ball, they're also trying to blame Democrats if this doesn't pass. That's right, the abusers are blaming the abused, yet again. What sucks is Democrats have no power. Republicans have run around screaming about their little mandate since January 20th, but now the poor widow babies need Democrats to help push their war on impoverished Americans across the line. They've talked about how America gave them all this power. Then get it done, boo. If you've got this sweeping government mandate, you don't need Democrats. You got this. Own it. Where's that mandate? You see, these are poor faith actors who are screwing over the working class to enrich the wealthy and then blame the only people in Congress who've been trying to stop it. I'm not a mental health expert, but it seems a lot like this is some sociopathic shit to me. Call your congressman and tell them where you stand on this, because as it stands, you're about to get fleeced by some of the biggest con artists in our history, and the Republicans in the House are actively trying to make it easier for them. Anyways, if you've hung out with me this long, I appreciate you. If you enjoy the content, just consider liking and subscribing. It helps get information out there and our resistance deeper into that algorithm so we can hopefully speak more truth to a greater number of ears. Stay decent, and y'all come back now. You hear?